entertain our bodies. Go there. When there's too much noise, go there. And noise is different to harmony, of course. But they're on the other side of each other, you know? And we practice that here. Practice going from chaos to compassion.
What is the importance of seeing the other side? And what does that mean?
What does that mean for you, Jess? What do you get from that?
Mm. I get another perspective. It's a choice. It's something else we can see to be a possible choice. As I accept, as we culturally see reality as one way, we only see it from our view, and our view appears to be a right view for us. So there's no room for something else unless we look for it. And when you have a practice that you say, we see it here, and then we look at it on the other side, which is the opposite of. Not necessarily always, because it just could be something different too. So I love how you say what's on the other side. So we notice this, and then we look at what's opposite, what's on the other side of that.
Yeah, sorry.
I was just going to bring in the duality. It's like it's above, rising above the duality, not as a fight duality, but as two. And explain that very well.
Oh, that's what's been useful for me.
And me. Meaning I let go of how it had to be.
So when we live in this world, we have to actually get into the middle of the darkness to have an equal perspective all around us. If we're standing at the edge of it, we can't barely see one side or the other side, or what's all the way on the end of it. So being in the middle of it gives you way more perspective. Unfortunately, you have to be in the middle of all the darkness, but that's where the light shines the brightest.
It's so true.
So to understand the light, you have to get into the darkest spaces.
Yes. So we do not like that.
Nope, it's no fun being there.
No, it isn't.
But once we understand it, we have way better understanding of dealing with it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It opens up so much more. Yeah. Happy New Year, Craig.
Happy New Year, Craig.
Happy New Year, all of you wonderful souls.
Happy New Year, Craig.
And Happy New Year, Craig.
So the seed has to be put in the ground in darkness, and then out of darkness it will grow.
Yes.
And another.
And that little seed has to crack its wall.
Hmm.
It's almost as if the old must burn down to ashes to the ground.
Mm. Sometimes it does have to, yes.
So that something new can come from the ashes, as they say.
Yeah.
And that is always, and that's always different. Like, where is the low? Well,
Mm.
Like the phoenix.
Mm.
yes, it is. And that's the unknown. How far will it go? How low and how long?
Hmm.
But there's always a bottom.
And interestingly enough, you can get to the point where you can choose your own bottom line. And you can say to yourself, this is enough. This is where I choose to face in a different direction.
But we interpret right and wrong differently.
Correct. We certainly do.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I need to express a lot of gratitude to this group because it was here. It was in this group where I found my bottom. That's a big part of the reason why I keep coming back.
People always say the bottom is the worst place to be. Well, I say it's a pretty good place to be because there's only one way you can go from there.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it is.
That's why we have to hit
I'd
rock bottom.
forgotten
It's
Yeah.
again about that perspective, how you look at it.
Yeah, it's about understanding that everything has got a potential,
Yeah.
right? And there's a potential for more pain, or there's a potential for more joy. And then there's the potential to be able to see that it's all just part of life. And that if you relax into it, it will serve you. That's a fundamental law that I really, really have taken a long, long time to accept and trust. But it's hard because I know that for many people on this earth, that trusting entails trusting that it's okay to die.
Could you say that again?
Which part, Craig? Sorry.
Trusting that it's open to what?
Trusting that it's okay to die. Because for many people, where they are at in terms of starvation, there is no out in this lifetime, or where they are in a war. And to be able to trust life, that even in death, it's still there, it's holding you, and you will be okay in dying. That's an incredibly difficult thing to do.
We're afraid of death. It's not serving us.
No, it doesn't serve us.
While we go around and fear death, we are not start living.
Yeah. We're not living to our full potential, put it that way.
Happy New Year, Annette.
Happy New Year, Annette.
Happy New Year, everybody.
The new year.
I saw all the well wishes in the creators chat. Happy New Year to everybody.
I think as we speak about that death, it can be the death of control.
Yes.
Which is change, and it's that change, that control that we grip so hard to, that when it begins to unravel and we can hit bottom, we can be okay with it.
Yes.
We can handle it. And we can come out of it with new.
Yeah, you come out of it with clarity. I was just thinking, like, what, so when we think about the phrase of losing control, just the energy around the word control is, for me, there's a kind of a fixedness about control.
Tight.
Yeah, so if you want to get around that, one of the opposites to control could be surrender. And so when you surrender, does that mean that you have got no direction? No.
No.
Not at all, right? So you for me, and with working with people, what I came to was to get them to feel the difference between control and surrendering with clarity. because it's different when people have had to be in control because the fear is so overwhelming, right? And you slowly work inch by inch with what does it feel like? What is it you want when you're in control? What is it that you want? And then if you stay with you go into the experience with your body, you go into the experience of control, and then you go into the experience of letting go. So that's very scary for people that have been in control all the time. And then you bring in clarity. So what is it that you want? And then you go into, if it's not a pure kind of emotion, you go until you get the pure emotion that they want. And then you get them to feel that. And you can't do it with reason. You've got to bring in the body and the experience in the body, and then it's almost like a meditative state. You use the breath, you can use sound, like a sound current. You can use walking for people that can't do either of those. But you're with them. Your energy is there, and you're connected to the surrender. And you're connected to your own experience of love, your own experience of compassion. And you bring that into their space, it makes a massive difference. And then you're just slowly walking step by step.
So it's about taking back self-control.
Yeah. And
Rather than
about,
sorry.
sorry, Chi.
Yeah. Because people want who all this control, is the master slave mentality.
Yeah. It is.
But we're not supposed to control other people, we have to have self-control.
Mm-hmm.
They're so afraid of losing power, It's all about power.
Yeah.
Power over others,
If you feel the need to control, your power's already lost.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. People aren't aware of that, hey, Craig? They don't know that, until you bring an alternative.
Let it go, you allow for every possible possibility.
Yes, Heinz, that is the secret. I was just thinking of some situations where it took me months with somebody.
Say that again, Hans.
Sorry, say that again?
Can you please repeat, Hans?
Control is only one perspective. Then you gotta let go, and then you allow every other possible possibility to flourish. allowing is the possibilities.
Yeah.
Controlling, accepting one reality.
And when you're working with someone and you can see their pain, that they are exacerbating their pain, so you have clarity about where you'd like to steer them towards, but that resistance is so strong. They come up with the most incredible thoughts and feelings as a distraction to get there, which we all do. But then I had to learn not to be controlling in my mission to facilitate a different experience for them. I had to watch that very, very, very carefully.
It's also
And
a
I
bit
know that
different.
sounds like an oxymoron, but that's how it works.
That's the big difference between telling people what to do or listening to them what they actually have an idea about and guiding them instead.
It's the guiding. Yeah.
And the guide is based on their idea, not on what you perceive.
Exactly. Because everybody's got their own way to get there. But at the same time, sorry guys, I'm like my motor mouth this morning.
I love it. I love it.
At the same time, knowing what questions to ask, I mean, I still don't feel I'm anywhere near Jesse's skill with that. But I do have his voice in my head at times, and especially with, well, what's on the other side of that? That's been such a useful question for me, for myself, and, to ask people.
That's the right way to do it. Unfortunately, a lot of people falls in, well, you tell me what to do. And they try to tell them instead of saying, what do you feel we should talk about? And sort of guiding it into their own experience.
Exactly. Yeah.
But a lot of people have been programmed to, well, you tell me what to do. It's way more easier, no responsibility.
Yeah.
That's the difference between education and teaching, is direct experience.
Good one.
Education is direct experience.
Supposed to be. Huh?
Yeah. It's facilitating or creating a space where people can learn from their own genius. Because truth is, part of them already knows.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been obscured in some way or another.
When we listen to how it said, this is where you get your education, or this is where I teach you what to think. Big difference. Your education, I teach you.
I think you must build a school one day, Hans. I think you must build a school.
Oh, I didn't learn. I think they had strange way of looking at it. Why couldn't they look at it differently? I would always question them. They didn't really like me, but I got good grades for it because
Mm-hmm.
I questioned their way of looking at it.
That's why I'm saying you should build a school.
Oh, I did enough of that. Like your brother said, I don't want to read any more books. My life is way more interesting,
Mm.
way more education in real life.
Yeah.
It's not somebody has written down a problem. It's actual real problems you confront.
Mm. Mm.
School like it is about dumping people down. They're not teaching us anything.
Mm.
A lot of the stuff they teach, ordinary people won't use. You might use it for one job, but you can't use it in every job.
Mm.
Math is good for building and woodwork if you need to get lines and stuff, but it isn't very great for being a repairman. You only need plus, minus, divide, and multiply. Then you should actually be able to do most jobs, and then they should ask you, what do you want to do with your life? Oh, then you need that kind of math and that, and they should build on it. Instead of saying, everyone needs this. Well, it's only 5% who's ever going to use it, but you'll need it.
Mm. Mm.
It's like one shoe should fit all.
I was just thinking exactly that. What came to me was one size fits all education.
Mm.
As an educator for over 40 years professionally, I'm that's one of my pet peeves.
So that concept of clarity was also really useful for me in my sessions with Jesse, where he would say, oh, there's clarity about something. And it was so interesting to me because I would be able to be clear, but I didn't realize that that's what I was being. And I think that that's another thing that we learn here and that we practice here. And the value of comments like that is that it goes one step above what the person is in. So it's almost like what I got from working with Jesse was what I get from yoga in, in the philosophy of it is there's a coat hanger that you can hang your coats on. It's like the skeleton or the bones of the body, right? The muscles and the ligaments hang off the bones of the body. And the spinal cord runs up and down a bone cage. And that comment to my teachers, when I left him and I asked him, what is the one thing that I can always turn to? And he knew exactly what to say to me. He just said, everything is vibration. And it made complete sense to me. But here in this group with people, I've been able to integrate what I've learned in psychology and what I've learned in yoga. There's a bringing together of the two. And probably, as Jesse says, it's so important to be able to speak to it. And that's probably what has done it for me. And to listen how others are doing it for themselves.
Yeah. Called this morning conscious change.
And like that. Start the new year off with. That's wonderful.
Conscious change and holding the tension of that change.
Mm.
Just long enough for it to change.
Mm. And then that change brings its energy back to you.
Mm. And conscious change to what? Clarity of what? And for me, it's compassion. Conscious change to compassion. It can heal the deepest wounds.
Hmm.
Changes everything.
It
If you look at the
changes
universe,
everything.
if you look at the
Sorry,
universe, if it just had one sun and that was all there was in the universe, well, there wouldn't be any change because there wouldn't be any gravitational pull from anything else. It would just stand there. It wouldn't even burn because the flames couldn't go anywhere. No gravitational pull.
Hmm.
So every little change the universe makes it spin around.
Hans, can
Change,
you repeat what you said, that every little change the universe makes?
every little change the universe makes have a gravitational pull. It's the
Yes.
energy that makes things go around. Change is
Yes.
the energy.
Yes. Thanks.
If we didn't have the moon, we couldn't change our gravitational pull, and we would probably just be pulled into the sun over time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And we needed to go from full to no moon to full to no moon. The change is needed.
Yes.
Change is life.
Yeah. Desi, as you spoke to change to what, it was interesting because I think all of us probably had exactly the same thought. That's what it felt like for me. I would love to read something from one of my yoga texts. Have you guys got bandwidth for that?
Yes,
Please
please.
share. Yes.
Okay, so it's from a book that I would say Bruce and I have used as our Bible. It's called I Am That. And it's written by one of my teachers' teachers, Nisargadatta Maharaj. The real does not die. The unreal never lived. Imagine a big building collapsing. Some rooms are in ruins and some remain intact. But can you speak of the space as ruined or intact? It is only the structure that suffered and the people who happened to live in it. Nothing happened to the space itself. Similarly, nothing happens to life when form breaks down and names are wiped out. The goldsmith melts down old jewelry to make new. Once you know that death happens to the body and not to you, you just watch your body falling off like a discarded garment. The real you is timeless and beyond birth and death. The body survives as long as it is needed. It is not important that it should live long.
Hmm. I heard you say death only happens to the body, not to
Yep.
you.
Yep.
Mm.
Sort of like energy. Energy never disappears. You may take a rock and throw it up into the air, then it's got your force behind it. But when it reaches top level, it will transform into falling energy. When it hits the ground, it'll transform into heat that'll produce vapors. Energy just transforms. It never disappears. It just becomes something.
Exactly. And in our essence, that's what we are. That's why my teacher said, you are the essence of beauty, because you are the essence of life. And by being in our bodies in this plane of existence, we get to experience the density of the vibration of life that we would not be able to experience in any other plane of existence. And that's hard to remember when you're facing what the ego or the body, physical body, experiences as being close to death. It's very difficult.
You have to be individuated in order to even experience relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no other way you can experience relationship.
Exactly. And then you get to experience the experience of oneness.
Yes.
I'll just share this. When I first read this, I had already lived with the illness that I developed in my body for about 10 years. I was in my early 30s, 32, when I first read this. To me, it felt like being on the precipice of an abyss. And when I read it now, I don't know how I will really experience my death, but I know that I have something on the other side that I value, that I have been able to experience as beauty in my life. And that's 32 years later.
Mm.
And this helped me when both my dad died first. I can remember reading this sitting in our meditation room. I remember reading it so clearly. We had a little ceremony for him. And it was so painful to read those words. It is not important that the body should live long. And of course, so this relates to any form, right? That's the whole point of the paragraph, is it? As Hans was saying, energy keeps on existing. And conscious change is about gaining from our own points of chaos. Like Craig said, his bottom point. That we gain wisdom.
It's always where the gold is.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, that's true.
Yep. That's why a sluice box works, is because the gold is heavier than all the other sediments. So it sinks.
Me, 2024 will be building a strong foundation.
Mhm.
I'm looking for the building block where there's trust. I'm confused at this moment. Like I have to build up from a ruin. What are your suggestions? What are some of the main building blocks to build a strong foundation?
Truth. What is true?
Truth.
Where are we? Where am I? It is the truth.
Mm.
We're so much controlled and tied up in the truth.
Mm.
So when you say, where am I? It also means the truth depends on the environment you're in.
Mhm.
Because what's true above water wouldn't be true below water.
Exactly.
And there's that duality to see it a different way, another view, more options.
Mm.
And compassion. Compassion for the views. Compassion for the fight to be right.
Mm.
Compassion for the control, for the controlling narcissist.
And we live in a world with lack of compassion.
Mm.
See how much destruction there's everywhere.
Mm.
Compassion is a necessity for us. Oh,
And your best opportunity for change is through compassion because it provides a connection point. And we need those connection points. And at the same time, it's again like we've said so often here before, right? That connection point is there for that moment in time. And then we have to dance to the next one.
Hmm. I'm going to read a quote that I read from Thich Nhat Hanh yesterday.
I love his work.
Yeah, I do too. Without suffering, you cannot grow. Without suffering, you cannot get the peace and joy you deserve. Please don't run away from your suffering. Embrace it and cherish it. With understanding and compassion, you will be able to heal the wounds in your own heart and the wounds in the world. Because our suffering has the capacity of showing us the path to liberation. Embrace your suffering and let it reveal to you the way to peace.
That was divine, Craig. Thank you.
Yeah,
Happy New Year, Ali.
I read that paragraph. I thought of you guys right away. I went, whoa.
Happy New Year, Allie.
Ali!
Oh my goodness gracious.
She's
It's
on the
almost
second
January
day.
2nd there.
Yes, I
Yeah.
was just gonna say she's a day ahead. So I'm just going to speak to that piece, but also again just the combination of this man who suffered so much in his life and what he got to and what he shared. And he's a little bit more in the Zen tradition, so I only discovered him, quite a lot later on in my path. And yet, on the day that he died, when I heard that he died, my whole cried, and I cried tears. It lasted for about 2 days. When my teacher died, I cried for a week, on and off, on and off, on and off. And it was the strangest thing because I wouldn't even realize that I was crying until my face was sopping wet. And I always wondered about that. And until I realized that it was because of the energy that they managed to build. And they managed to build it by living in the vibration of compassion. And they were unwavering in that. They'd gotten to that point of development and of existence. You think about the impact of that and how powerful that is. That vibration can be on the other side of the world. You could never have met that person, but just read the words that they have written from their experience of being compassion.
Is there actually suffering? I know there's pain, but it's the attachment to the pain that creates suffering.
That's right. Yeah.
And people may say, oh, Nelson Mandela, he suffered a lot. But if you ask him, probably he wouldn't say no. He was dealing with it. It was our point of view that he was suffering. Because we identified with the pain.
Quite right, Hans.
Yeah, what I actually hear him saying in this is to change your relationship with suffering.
With the pain, change it to the pain and learn from the pain. It's just when somebody else rewrite, I bet he didn't write original in English.
No, he didn't.
So they changed pain to suffering.
Yeah.
Because if you'd ask that guy, I guess he wouldn't say, no, suffering. No, I don't suffer. That's a choice. I learned from my pain.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times when we write in another language and they get, narrated by someone else into that language, there are a lot of misunderstandings to words because some words you can't say in other languages. Some words can't even be explained.
Yeah, despite all the words we have in English, probably more than any other language on the planet, there's still a number of them that are missing.
Yep.
Do we really have more words than other languages? I'm not so sure about that because you think about it, Craig. You think about
well, there's about 1,000 being added every year.
Yeah, but I don't know. You think about how many words there are for different levels of energy in the Hindu language, and you think about how in Aboriginal languages, how many words there are, for instance, a mountain or a hill or a
Yeah.
river. And we don't have any of those.
I think
Yes,
some,
that's
I meant a lot of them were missing.
I think somewhere they forgot some in some languages and then they added some in some others, but I guess they all are missing some of the other languages.
Yeah, and what I was also thinking about is that probably got a lot to do with the ultimate structure of the language, and by that I don't mean the grammar.
Mhm. And we have 3 extra letters in Denmark.
Ah,
E, Y, and O.
there you go. That piece was so beautiful, Craig. Thank you for that.
I liked it too.
It's really divine.
It is so much that we avoid suffering, avoid pain. And it's so counterintuitive when we begin to look at the other side for options. We look at the other side as compassion rather than fighting, surrender rather than losing.
Exactly.
So we surrender to forgive. We surrender
Yes.
to let go. We surrender to let go to make space for something new.
There is a universal language, the language of the body, the language of the facial expression. It's the same all over the world. You know, when we express fear or pain or happiness or whatever, it shows up the same.
Correct.
Culture and social.
Happy New Year, Mona!
Happy New Year, Mona!
Oh, Mona, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, y'all.
Happy New Year, Mona.
Yay, Ali!
I was listening to Jesse and his surrender and the charge of that word.
Yeah.
If we could have one common language around the world where all the words meant the same thing, we could accomplish that. But we have so many words in different languages that don't mean the same thing. For instance, in Japan, surrender is like, oh, there's no such thing. Because to them, surrendering meant they failed. But I like the fact that the word surrender doesn't have the charge that the other words that were being used had. Because some people don't see that as gentle.
No.
Like allow.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was my word for the year.
Oh,
My word
beautiful.
for the day.
Very good, Annie. That's so
What word was
beautiful.
it, Ali? What word did you say?
Oh, allow.
Allow. Oh, great.
I got word of the year, so I'll throw in mine into the bucket as compassion.
Oh, I love it.
I'm
My
going to go
word,
with you on that one, Jess.
my
Yeah.
word for the year is going to be expansion.
Mm.
Oh, I love
Wow.
it.
That's
I'll go with
beautiful,
A.
Mother.
Like I said, change is energy. It gives something possibility for something new.
Mm. Allow compassion, expansion.
And allow expansion into compassion.
Oh, nice.
Surrendering to compassion.
Yes. So allow surrender into compassion.
Compassion expands everything it touches.
Mm.
It sure does. It is expansion. It's its very nature. As beauty is the nature of compassion.
Seeking expression.
Yes.
So a compassion is a deeper and broader love, life, and inner laughter.
That brought a huge big smile to my face, Jessie. It's so nice to have a full house.
I know.
Yeah. Celebrating the 1th of the 1th month.
The first, celebrating first. Together, gathering together for the first.
Mm.
And I'm so grateful to be here.
It's wonderful to have you.
I saw yesterday was once in 100 years. It stands 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
12, 31, 23. So
Mm.
a new beginning.
Say for 250 years, so it happens again.
100 years.
100 years, yeah. 250 is Pluto's.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. That's unique. Yeah. What do we wrap today into as conscious change?
conscious co-creation in compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Unattached to what is, the truth that is, and allowing expansion, surrendering, control, fixedness, limitations, and seeking, searching, bringing in, bringing out expansion. Through a few words of surrender, allow. And in that, we may find our darkest moments. As the old structures melt, fall apart, break down, and we feel out of control. We feel in chaos because all that we knew, had, fought for, just got wiped out. And we are looking for new footholds. And when we start with compassion, it is the first step. So until you bottom out and come to the limits of your own fuel supply, there is no reason for you to switch to a higher octane of fuel, for that is what is happening. Why would you change? You will not learn to actively draw upon a larger source within yourself until your usual resources are depleted and revealed as wanting. In fact, you will not even know there is a larger source until your own sources and resources fail you.
That's very true.
Thank you, Richard Rohr, Breathing Underwater.
I'm really glad you found him, Jesse.
Well, good friends do that. I am too, Craig. Thank you.
No, I found him because of Brené Brown.
I've
never heard of him before.
I just love that one of change. Like we we rely so much on what we have and what has worked until it doesn't.
And then we
Yeah.
discover what else we have.
Yes, then there's space to discover what else we have. And that's when all the options are there. All the possibilities. Well, everyone, Happy New Year. Thanks for spending it with me today.
Thanks for a great start to the year.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. I didn't say anything other than hello. So it was just nice just to listen.
Well, I'm so glad you're here.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Love and hugs,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
Love and hugs, everybody.
Everyone. Have a
And
nice
Happy
day.
New Year.
Bye all.
Bye-bye.
May it be filled with love and light.